Welcome to another episode of the 40 Culture Podcast, soccer podcast for bias, talk about intersection of black culture and soccer. Got your boy here, Greggo here. Got me, Marc, up here. Got TK on the 1-2 over here. I tried to make this like a blue week, but then y'all don't even wear blue. Y'all don't, like.
I was about to say, man, it's been a minute since I've been on. I know it's been a minute since TK's been on. So you have us on after we lose the cup final. Cool. All right. I see what this is about.
I mean, you know, y'all are all up in the news, so I figure I keep the thing going and rock the blue, but then y'all rock the black and the red. If I knew that, I would have made sure I wore the green so we can close out Black History Month outright. But that's okay. Whatever.
And we could do like that chroma effect and post production. You know what I mean?
Man,
possibilities. It's 2022.
It's hard enough keeping all the filters and all the effects going. We're just a fledgling enterprise, but you know we'll figure that out. But yeah, man, it's been a cool 2 weeks. Of course, we tried to get with you guys last week, and things didn't work out. Of course, technically things still didn't work out because we were hoping to have a guest this week, but it's the beginning of the MLS season, so needless to say, things are hectic here stateside. But we'll recap the first week of games and then some. Of course, over in Europe, some wild times in Europe right now. So we'll be going over that, of course, with everything going on between Russia and Ukraine, and it's had a massive effect as far as on the game in Europe and worldwide. So we'll definitely be make sure to talk about that as well. But of course, thank you guys for checking this out. And for your podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audio Boom, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I think I added another one a couple weeks ago. It's been a minute since I touched any of this. So but yeah, wherever you can find us, make sure you do find us, and of course on the FTC UTD YouTube channel. And but yeah, man, it's a new season with in MLS, baby. It's it's of course I know Marc, he actually went up to DC over the weekend to go check out Charlotte FC's first ever game against DC United. Of course, I went down to see the home team play Sporting Kansas City, which TK, the flag has to make a comeback. Flag has to make a comeback. Like it's been so long. It's been so long. Yeah. Do we need to bring back the old one? Do we need to bring back a new one? Like what are we gonna do?
I think it would probably be best to go ahead and crest a new one, but when we come back with the flag, we would certainly have to bring the old one. You know, it's got to hit home for everyone who's like, "Ooh, there it is again. There it is." Yeah, gotcha.
Like, the flag is back. The flag is back. The flag is back.
Oh,
the flag is back.
I'll be up all night.
I don't know why.
I
have been thinking about the most random songs in my head the past couple of weeks. I had like Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer in my head, like on Sunday. Like it's just the weirdest thing. And of course, it's the things that go on in this. I have my head fully exposed this week, so I figured it was safe. But yeah, it's getting back out there, getting out with the people, the homies that it's on the community when you get involved with the supporter culture wherever you are, and like a lot of cases, like you don't see each other during the off season. So like when you see each other like the first game of the season, it's like almost like first day of school. It's like, oh snap,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta come correct, I gotta come fresh. Like, what's
Mm-hmm.
up? How you feeling? Like, it's it's cool. Of course, I actually kept it real basic. I wore one of my FTC shirts uh and a pair of Hirachis that I honestly am about to throw away because let me tell you something. You need the right shoes when you out there bouncing and jumping
Oh
and
man. If there's one thing that I've learned, man, yeah, I've been out there with like the shoes that are too heavy or the soles that are
Mhm,
too thin. And it's
mhm.
like, I'm 32. So it's like I gotta start thinking about like, okay, how long I'm gonna be out, how much am I gonna be on my feet? You know what I mean? Because I
Mm.
know if I don't plan it correctly, I'm gonna be hurting later, So I feel you, dog.
Yeah, like the game was on Sunday, and is now it's Tuesday. Like my feet just started feeling better because like yeah, Sunday and Monday I was like like if I could stay off my feet right now I could, and I like and I love my Harachis, but that particular pair, they have never quite done me right when it comes to actually going to a game and like I
Hmm.
don't know if I'm just getting too old. I'm about to bust out these Avias, and that's like, oh my, like ungodly comfortable.
Yeah,
Like they are just amazing. And just call it a day. I'm like, like everything from the ankles up is going to be dope as hell. But like the shoes, they got to be comfortable. It's just that simple.
exactly.
But but yeah. So like when could we anticipate the TK comeback at games? Because yeah, we need the flag, we need the Thundercat, we need all that.
I
The people
mean,
are asking.
yeah, I may have to allude to that a little bit later on when we touch on the two up and two down.
Oh,
But
okay. Suspense, a
it
cliffhanger.
is, yes, we will take it to the top, to the mountain. Might
But
leave you there,
yeah,
might bring you back.
but yeah, yeah. Like it has been the first week of games, season opener for MLS. Of course, the home team looking pretty good. Like all things considered, for us too, we had an injury that came, and we still managed to get two more goals after Araújo got his goal in,
Hmm.
and like because typically like when you lose in the past when we would have a player that go out with injury, like you all of a sudden you'd be like, okay, like we're gonna just try to hold on, but like we
Right.
kept pressing, we kept going, and yeah, we took it out 3-1 over Sport Kansas City. Now, did you get a chance to watch on the game, Mark?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I missed parts of it, but I did catch most of it. Um, yeah, I mean, like, I think so on the podcast before the match, before the opening match, we predicted, and I mean, sorry, the Fan TV podcast,
Mm-hmm.
we predicted a draw because of the amount of players we were missing going into it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you lose a Ruju. So, but overall, first of all, like we haven't always started well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've had trouble translating that preseason form into the regular season. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, like we've been in Champions League the last 3 seasons, and so not having to deal with that is good. This is the first home opener at the Bend, so this is actually the first home opener we've had on opening
Actually, yeah.
weekend
Actually,
since
yeah. Yeah.
2017. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on, but yeah, I thought super encouraging, especially getting 2 goals before halftime, because I think that's something LA United has struggled with is just scoring before halftime in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, to 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 get that, like, insurance goal, but to also get it from a 17-year-old, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
baby. We have to talk about that because
woo!
yeah. 17-year-old Caleb Wiley made his MLS debut, his professional debut with the first team, and yeah, within 15 minutes he got his first goal. Now, for those of y'all who have stuck with us for almost since the beginning, we actually have a pretty tight relationship. I was hoping to get Coach Tony on because like he actually has an even tighter relationship. So if you ever here in Atlanta, like there's a pizza shop called Oz Pizza, and it's owned by a black guy, Chris Wiley, who like I think he has like 2 or 3 locations here in Atlanta, and so like yeah, like his son is Caleb Wiley, and he's been progressing with the U.S. Youth National Team. He's been progressing with Atlanta United, and yeah, he made his debut on Sunday, and yeah, he made good on it, and like like between you have him, you had Tyler Wolf who had a who was making his first start with United, I think, and also George Campbell who of course made his debut last year. Like to see that show of trust within our youth was definitely huge. That's something I've been advocating for since the very beginning with Tata. Like that's something that, yeah, it's very exciting to see. Like what you got, TK?
Just that same thing, man. It's like we put a whole emphasis on the academy and having these homegrown players and finding the best talent. And so I think it's time that we open up the pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I couldn't have been more like. I'm pretty sure there's probably video of me on FS1 of me just celebrating and just like going absolutely insane when Caleb scored because like that's the stuff that you want to see is having those kids that are from Atlanta and able to get the action and then actually have their moment. Like there's a video out on social media. Like, I think we actually posted it on Instagram of Caleb's dad and when he scored. It's like yo, like that's a huge ass moment. And I'm like that's something that like you can't beat for anything and just you're putting on for your city, you're putting on for your club. Like that's just absolutely amazing. And then just to kind of recap on the game, like I think for the most part, like it's definitely a very good starting point. I think that there were still some points of where we still had to kind of get greater chemistry in attack because there were a lot of times like where we were off to a good counter, and then like you'd have a pass that goes behind who was going towards us. Like, oh, if he could just get it to the right place, like it probably could have been even worse than 3-1. And I'm just like, of course, all that takes time because we're still integrating new players like Armada. He didn't play on Sunday. Um, and Marino came in off the bench. So like yeah, like and then Dom Dwyer,
Woo!
like yo, like with because he replaced Aruj when he got injured, and he got a goal and like that was his first goal with in like 2 years. Now, for those of y'all who follow MLS and soccer closely, you know that Dom Dwyer used to be married to Sydney Leroux, and
Ooh,
they're
you went
going
right
through it,
there.
and they went through a divorce. And I was going to put it into two up and two down, but like I'm gonna just make mention of this real quick because anybody who knows me personally knows I got a thing for Miss Leroux. And,
Oh,
si- and since the split, she's been looking absolutely incredible.
she's been
And
glowing.
but nobody's been talking about Dom. And I'm like, I think that and the fact that this is his first goal in 2 years, I'm
Hmm.
like, hey, maybe it's better off they just went their separate ways and just hey they're able to flourish on their own because yeah like he came in and made the most out of it, and I think that that's what you want to see
Hmm.
um uh with guys that come off the benches that they when they come in they're ready to go and they're able to contribute because needless to say like we had 2 years of Kubo and Dam, and I'm like I'm so glad they're gone. Like you have
Yeah,
no idea.
yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I mean like those moves had to be made. And I'm glad they did. The down one they left it kind of late, but they did finally when I saw the news that they released them. I mean like that's just the best thing for everyone involved. But in terms of what's his name, Dwyer, yeah, like Yeah, of course, over the years we've given him banter, and like for one, being a former Orlando City player, but for also like he's missed some sitters, dog. Like he went
Yeah.
definitely went through a rough patch, and so, but even with that, my thing was that he wasn't done. You know what I mean? And so, okay, you sign him for a minimum salary that's not even counting against the cap because of weird MLS rules. Like, okay, cool, sure, you know. Like, we'll take you like if he's
Right,
semi
right,
useful, and he is, like because it's that too. Like it's the runs, it's the overall work rate. It's somebody to play off Joseph. Like that's one thing that I hope that we are addressing finally this season is just the reliance on Joseph scoring because I think that Joseph has more potential than that. He had 2 assists in that
yeah,
game.
that was unheard of. I'm like he was actually the facilitator. I'm like that's something like you would have never heard of in previous years. And like just the fact that he was able to contribute like that, where yeah, he didn't score on any of them, but like he had two assists in them. And I think there's something that could happen with him and Dwyer up front. It might not happen all the time, but just
Hmm.
the fact that you have it in your pocket, it's like yeah, that's something that I think that's some that's something that they can that could be useful to the team going forward. But yeah, like you had Franco was out.
Hmm.
Of course, we lost Bello. Shout out to Goodman because
Hmm.
you know what, he's a scrappy white boy. I'll say that much. Like he's scrappy. He ate the fastest mug out there. I can say that much.
Hmm.
And and
He got hot.
yeah, he got all the heart in the world because yeah, like he was out there busting his ass because I was like, you know what,
Gym rat.
I fucks with him. I fucks with him.
I will say though, especially with him spending a year on loan with Rebels, right? I feel like even throughout our history, even at our peak, we've always been missing a little bit of toughness, right? Like
Yeah.
scrappiness. And like I think our record, I think I'm correct in saying this, like our record versus big teams like throughout our history isn't that good, right?
Yeah.
Like it's lopsided versus Toronto versus Red Bulls. It's not like great versus NYC from what I remember, so it's like
hmm
DC United, I think they have more wins than us. So it's just, and I just wonder, like maybe we do need that, like that, like the scrappiness.
Need that dog, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, he's the type of guy like he has that spunk and that drive. It's like he knows that hey, I'm definitely not going to be the guy burning it down on the flanks, but still like once he's around that ball, he's gonna give you everything he got, and that's something that like I said, like for what we gave out on Sunday. I think that's a lot to be encouraged by.
Hmm.
Um, we got uh, Colorado this weekend, and then of course in 2 weeks we got Charlotte. And like I mentioned earlier, you were actually up in DC this past weekend for Charlotte's first game against DC United. Like what was that the vibe up there?
Oh, vibe was super cool, man. I think I mentioned before, like the Charlotte fans, super welcoming. Just excited for the game, I mean? Like it's been 2 years since the team was announced, so real organic energy, hanging out with them before the game. They were loud in that stadium. They definitely made their presence felt. Little unlucky, I think, in terms of how that game played out. Of course, they had a goal called back. And then DC had like a couple deflections. I think there was a controversial call that may have been missed as well, and so it's like Charlotte played well. They looked like a team. I was impressed with I think their chemistry and the way they were organized in their pressing. Um, but at the end of the day, they were down 2-0 at half, and they just never really got back into it. So, but I think yeah, they may have something formidable there. At least a team that can challenge for a playoff spot. Of course, Atlanta plays them twice early in the season, and so I wouldn't take them lightly.
Yeah, yeah, I got a chance to watch the game myself on Saturday, and yeah, like the goals that they gave up, it was like kind of like bam bam, like you. They had an opportunity, they didn't finish, and then suddenly they gave up goals, and I think that's something that kind of comes with being an expansion team, not largely playing with each other much at all before this year. There's probably going to be some growing pains that come probably in the first 3 or 4 months, and we'll we see them in 2 weeks, and as a as an announcement here, uh, we get to see them this week. We are actually heading out up to Charlotte this weekend for Charlotte FC's first home game against LA Galaxy, and yeah, we got a lot of good stuff uh, planned for not just this weekend, but also on next week's episode. Probably gonna go into that more detail at before we wrap up. But yeah, we're absolutely looking forward to linking up with the Mint City fam. Like I'm from North Carolina, and I'm like I never realized there was this Mint City thing until I actually moved down here to Atlanta. I was like, oh, that's new. Okay, but hey, it's dope. It's dope. But yeah, but it'll be me, Mark, Coach Tony, uh, Yogi might make it a cameo while we're there because he actually has season tickets because his wife's actually from that part of North Carolina. So yeah, we're actually looking forward to making this trip, and then next week, like I said, we got some more stuff planned for next week's episode. But how you feeling about the trip, man? Because like yeah, you've been traveling a lot with Charlotte.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
TK's busy. TK's busy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've been traveling with them a lot. I make one trip, and all of a sudden, I'm like this pseudo Charlotte fan.
Don't be like pancake. Don't be like pancake.
No, you know what's funny though? Like because I went to the game obviously on Saturday, right? And I'm going this weekend, and then they're coming to Atlanta after that. So I'm gonna be
hmm
there in person for the first 3 games. So I don't
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
man. They might be trying to steal me away.
You know what? Like there's a part of me that's thinking like, you know what? Like with all the footage that we're planning on getting, like we actually probably would be better off just waiting until the game here in a couple weeks and just be like, just kind of just wrap it all up into one
Oh,
big swoop and do it that way. But yeah, like I said, we're looking forward to beating all the Charlotte FC fans, and getting some good content from you guys. So yeah, definitely, of course, you'll be able to see us. Like, trust me, like I'm gonna make sure that you'll be able to see us from my like who's the black guys? Oh, it's them. It's them. It's them. But but yeah, like did you guys get a chance to catch any other games? Of course, there's a couple games on national TV. I think they had Timbers and Revs. They had LA Galaxy and NYCFC. I think there's another one in between our game and the LA game on Sunday. Like which game? Who did y'all check out?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I actually sat down and watched any other game. Um, of course, there's that cup final Sunday morning that took up a lot of my time and energy. So,
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
but keeping it MLS, I will say the Nashville results. Very impressed by that. Of course, is this? I believe this maybe their first season in the West, like fully. I think because originally they were going to be in the West, right? And then COVID hit, and everything was moved around and so on. So, but I am curious to see how they do in the Western Conference because I think they're a good outfit. Like I
Yeah.
think as a franchise, like they've done it correctly, and they spent all that money on Walker Zimmerman, and we kind of wondered would that be worth it, and now we're looking at LAFC like look like you fumbled that, so yeah.
Now, granted, LAFC actually did, have a pretty good turnout against Colorado. They won 3-0 with I think it was a hat trick from Carlos Vela, and
Mhm.
yeah, they held things down. But yeah, yeah, Nashville going out to Seattle, winning 1-0, and of course, because Seattle's typically yeah, they're usually money for their home opener, and sort of lose in that fashion was definitely a bit of surprise. I think you were out of town, Tika. Did you happen to catch any games?
Yeah, I came back in town, cut the cup final, and that was interesting. Um,
Oh, we'll
but
get to that. Oh, trust
oh,
me on that.
I have feelings, and then I watched Atlanta play. I also saw who was it? Chicharito. I saw Chicharito
Hmm.
score in the last bit of that game there. Who's the team that lost? New York. I saw New York lose. Um, I think that was it as far as Sunday is concerned.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I happened to catch a little bit of the Houston RSL game, which was like a nil-nil tie. I caught a little bit of Philly and Minnesota, which was like the very first game to open the season. They ended up in a 1-1 draw. Um, but yeah, like I heard about uh, Austin smacking up Cincinnati 5-0, which kind of has an indirect tie to us because our backup keeper from the first 5 years, Alec Can, he's now Cincinnati's starting keeper, and yeah, that first game ain't go too well for him. So, but like Cincinnati needs a whole lot of work, and and
Do you think
Yeah.
Khan will turn good? One question.
um. I don't know if Cincinnati has that kind of time to wait because
Ooh.
obviously they're trying to maintain that fan base and make sure that people stay invested in the Cincinnati. And
Right.
if you're getting smoked 5-0, that doesn't help out. That doesn't help the cause. It just doesn't.
It
So.
really doesn't. I mean, I didn't see any of the goals. I'm typically hesitant to blame goalkeepers, especially on a team like Cincinnati.
Hmm.
But then it's like it's that, like if you're like I would say he's always been a quality backup, right? But if you're moving into a starting role, that's really getting tossed into the fire. So like I have no as especially as a Decatur native, meaning Khan, not me, but I live in Decatur now, and he's from Decatur, and so
Hmm.
I want to see him do well. But man, Cincinnati is just such a dumpster fire. Like, how are you the worst team in the league 3 years running in a league that purports parity? Like,
I mean, it's hard work, and it's something that there's just a lot that they have to work on, and hopefully that's something that in the next year or two they can finally begin to address. I mean, they opened up the stadium last year, so hopefully sooner rather than later they can turn things around to where they're at least competitive, because it's not like because Austin, this is now their second year, so it's not like they're that far off from what Cincinnati was doing, and like I said, they were able to get five on them. So
right.
we'll see how that goes. Of course, this week we got, like I said, we the Charlotte game against LA Galaxy, the home team. We play Colorado. Trying to look at some games that might be of interest. Let's see, we got Toronto and Red Bulls.
Mhm.
Um, mm, uh, LAFC in Portland is on Sunday, so that's probably going to be a good one. But yeah, like like what? Let us know what games that you guys are checking out this weekend, whether it be at the stadium or in the bars or at home. Let us know what you're checking out. Yeah, tag us at FTC UTD. Let us know what's good. But yeah, actually no. Before we get up on that, just a like I had so much fun doing this last week. I need to do a quick plug. Of course, as part of the Cultureverse, with 2 Cents FC, I actually had the opportunity of checking out, of actually emceeing their annual kit ratings episode um, for all the new MLS kits. And got a chance to kick it with some people I've been really big fans of on socials. Jessica Black. She works for LAFC, and then the homies at Wavy Footy. That's like they're guys like I've been wanting to link up with for a long time, and just yeah, we went through all the new kits. I gave my 2 cents, no pun intended, on all the new kits. What from what y'all have seen so far, like what kits are y'all liking?
Yeah, I would say I do like the Portland kit. I know
You like the pink. You like the pink.
I like the pink. I know it's kind of given tablecloth, but um but I like it. I like it. Because it's just different. Like that's the thing. Because I know you agree with me on this. Just some of the palettes we get in MLS are just so basic. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the fact that we only had one new white kit, and
right?
it's for the one team who actually does wear white at home. I'm like, yo, bravo MLS, bravo.
Yeah,
That,
it's true. I think that maybe they've been listening to us. It's there seems to be, of course, there's always like a theme, right? So got some like teal slash mint, slash whatever you want to call it. I guess LAFC's kit isn't bad, especially for like a kit that's supposed to be like solid black. Like,
mhm,
you can see the pattern in it.
yeah,
And I always like that colorway. Um see, is that Montreal's kit? It's okay. It's kind
yes,
of,
yeah. So
yeah, kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
you can tell that MLS loves them from Arsenal. I think it was
Yes.
Montreal. I think it was NYCFC. Obviously Charlotte FC with their home
Mhm.
kit, and I want to say there was one other kit that definitely has some Arsenal vibes. But yeah, like it's kind of funny. Like if it wasn't pastels, it was Arsenal. Like it's absolutely hilarious. Which were there any that kind of stood up with you, TK?
Yeah, pardon me. I am a fan of the Inter Miami kit.
Really?
No, I'm
Pank.
joking. I'm joking.
Uh,
Oh
you
shit!
had me going. You had me
I
going
know.
in the first half, bro.
That's
Oh
okay.
man,
The collar, maybe, I guess, but
the cause for justice always.
we'll touch on that later. I could tell you the ones I don't like, actually, pretty
Which ones?
faster. The
Which
ones I
ones?
don't like, Orlando, freaking New York City, and probably probably Miami, minus the collar.
Hmm.
But actually, maybe Seattle. Yeah, that's a. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Seattle like
They,
that.
they
Like
keep
that one
getting
just.
cold checks, so it's like a little German.
Yeah, that was just not quite working for me. And like, of course,
Yeah.
we have very historical takes on the Zulily logo. And it's like, yeah, like I'm actually because the buzz with Seattle right now is that they're coming up on their 50th anniversary in 2 years in 2024. So like they're opening up a new training facility in 2 years, and they're probably going to be doing some type of redesign in 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, we gotta fix that green somehow because it's not as it's just not bold, and it's just kind of just damp and mossy and I don't want to say stink, but it's kind of stink. But but
Safe to
uh
say.
but yeah, like I'm kind of curious as far as like if that's the direction they end up going, like what they end up trying to do. But yeah, like for for those of y'all who haven't watched it, of course, make sure you watch it because yeah, I could tell you that without spoiling too much, I at least want to go into two things real quick. Actually, no, I'm gonna save it for two up or two down. So let I give you all something to work towards because yeah, like I there was definitely some strong views on a couple of kids, and I'll go into more detail on that. But yeah, on the flip side, we're going to go into again all the madness that Russia has kind of caused on Europe, and then also one of our own get a second chance in England of all places. So stick with us. We're going to work from 2 cents, and we'll be right back. back. Yeah. Um, uh, Wanted to give a quick shout out to Jesse Marsch, who shockingly, I would say, has rebounded from the debacle earlier this season at RB Leipzig, and has managed to get hired at Leeds United. They last week fired their, I don't want to say long time, but like I guess is 3 years a long time in England? If you last 3 years,
I
is that
think
a long time?
that's the pivot into a long term career
Yeah.
for a manager in
uh,
the Prem.
yeah, because like he's the coach who got Leeds promoted to back to the Premier League for the first time in 17 years. Uh, they did all right last year, but like this year they've been struggling, like hovering over the relegation zone, and they lost like
Mm.
8 of the last 11, and they decided to part ways with Marcelo. And just when you wanted to hate Leeds again, you know what? Let's go hire Jesse Marsch. And I'm like, y'all keep hiring these coaches that I actually like. I'm like this is not helping the cause. But yeah, he's taking over this week as their new head coach. Were y'all surprised that he got this opportunity? And like, how y'all feeling about his chances?
Um. Yes. Yeah, I guess I am. I'm not totally shocked. Because it's like you can kind of see, I guess, when you look through the timeline of his career, how his
Mm-hmm.
reputation has grown a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since leaving MLS, right? But it's all been within the Red Bull system. So okay, like for example, after doing the assistant coach thing at Leipzig, he goes to Salzburg,
Mm-hmm.
um, and 2 seasons there. Okay, and yeah, yes, they were successful in that they won the league. But Salzburg has won the league like 8 years running now. So like, and it's one of those things where I'm not too well versed on like the whole Red Bull thing,
Mm-hmm.
but they have like kind of it does appear that they've kind of just used um their resources to kind of make that league non-competitive, at least to a degree. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they've managed to take it over. So, but in any case, like so it's like I think you have to contextualize his success there with that. And he was a disaster at Leipzig this season. And the thing is, like, and people, want to throw out the caveats for him that whatever players that Leipzig sold, but that's not unusual for them. Like they sold Werner in the past. They sold I'm trying to think.
Upamecano, yeah,
Yeah,
Upamecano.
Upamecano, right, and Konate and so on. They left this season, but still, it's one of those things like Leipzig because of that. What they have built there, right? Their whole system, like
Mm-hmm.
they always typically have players coming through, and so like to me, like they never should have been as bad as they were. Like even
Yeah.
if they were okay, hovering around the Champions League spots or something like that, but they were not good at all. And then like I felt like I would have liked to have seen Salzburg be a little more competitive
Mm-hmm.
versus the bigger teams, or like in the Champions League under Marsch. So, like for example, Salzburg this season is 1-1 with Bayern going into the second leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Marsch didn't really have them that close versus the bigger team. So I don't know, So and then with him going to Leeds are in the thick of the relegation race, and so it's like
Mm-hmm.
is he gonna be able like there are gonna be limits to what he can sort of implement in terms of his style and system, right? Like
Especially considering that you're already past the winter transfer window. So like basically, like
yes.
you got what you got right now, and
Mhm.
the job right now is basically stay above the drop and and figure out a way to the stay up. I'm hoping that because we talked about this a couple weeks ago, with just how American coaches are viewed, period, in Europe. And I'm hoping that he doesn't get dogged out like Bob Bradley did at Swansea,
Mhm.
and they don't take him seriously as because he's American, because again you're trying to avoid the drop, so um,
Mhm.
you don't really have the time to uh, you know dog this guy out because it's March. You basically got like 2.5 months left, so
Hmm.
it's basically like either this is gonna work or y'all gonna get relegated. What are your thoughts, TK?
I think they get relegated. I think they brought him in knowing that they're going to get relegated. I don't think that they're expecting him to work miracles. If that was the case, that they probably should have kept Bielsa on for the rest of the remainder of the year. But
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of such a hard ass that they probably already were, clashing heads.
Yeah, from what I heard, like they were already planning on letting him moving on in the summer, and like I said, the streak that they were on lately kind of just said like, you know what, we got to go ahead and cut bait.
Yeah, it's like the Mourinho. It would have been nice to have gotten to the end of that year
Mm-hmm.
with him still as the manager, and then just kind of like clean cut it there. But I guess in Chelsea speak, it's unpalatable or
Mm-hmm.
unpalatable.
Oh,
So yeah, I think that that was kind of the plan. Like whoever's in charge over in Leeds, they probably have seen his work and feel that he could take that team in a championship level and do something positive. Um,
yeah, yeah. Like I was chatting about this on Twitter over the weekend, and I think my preface would have been go ahead and get relegated and then hire him because
Mhm.
I think that he would have definitely been in a good position where he can lead them back to a promotion, and then the following year he'll be there for the Premier League, and be able to go from there. But hopefully things work out for him, and you know
One thing on
what's
One
up.
yeah, one thing I wanna say about Leeds real quick, and specifically, like, the reports about Bielsa maybe clashing, like, that's I get, Bielsa's style is attractive and, like, there are certain players that he improves, but in that same token, you have players like a Calvin Phillips, right, who was one of the best midfielders in the league last year, right, played for England at the Euros and then has barely played this season because of the style, right, and so it kinda I feel like his style is a bit unsustainable in that sense. Like it's kind of churning through players. And so I hope like I do hope that Jesse Marsch gets a bit of grace in that sense. Or, it would be fair, I think. Um but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Like it's an uphill battle, but hopefully if they buy into him, it's at least doable. I just know that that defense needs work. But
Mhm.
yeah, y'all had a interesting weekend. The Blues had a yeah, that was a lot going on. Y'all had the league final on Sunday, League Cup final against Liverpool on Sunday, and
Carabao.
you know, Carabao. It's still a League Cup. Like
It is
I, I, I don't,
sponsored
I
by
don't,
Yeah.
I
Carabao.
don't have I don't have time for
Coca-Cola
all,
Cup.
I don't have time for all these sponsors. But
Right.
if they ain't paying us, we got to talk. But but yeah, like I think between the goals that were called back and then the bright idea to sub out Mendy in before the PK shootout. I mean, this guy just literally had a PK shootout in the African Cup final and won. And you say, you know what? Let's put in Kepler. Let's do
That's
this.
not the way
And
Chelsea work, man.
I
We're
got
back.
it because I mean, granted, y'all did do the same thing for the Super Cup um, back at the beginning of the season,
Mhm.
and it happened to work out then.
And I
But
think, Kepa had been in a couple shootouts in earlier rounds or something like that as well. So
Yep.
I
Yeah,
think
that
that
shit
was
hit.
part of it. Yeah, it's not right. Like the whole subbing a keeper thing, for the penalty shootout is not necessarily my favorite. I kind of get it. I think, um, Andre Carlisle put it best that managers are control freaks, which is why they do moves like that. And Tuchel especially, like Tommy Tactics is his nickname. You know what I mean? So like I get it. I wasn't surprised. I was in a moment, like I was hyped for it. It's like, okay, cool. Like you've shown at least so far this season that this is maybe a skill set of yours. But then the shootout comes, and I thought that he had no composure. He kept diving early. Like they just kept guessing the wrong way and just kept like and there was some of those penalties where it's like they weren't in the corner. So if you had waited an extra second and then just reacted to the penalty, it could have been the save. There was one, I think, when he was versus Van Dijk, where he actually shifted towards the corner that the penalty was going to, and then dove at it and somehow didn't get a hand on it. And then like Kanate, Liverpool's last outfield player, took a terrible penalty. Like if you're supposed to be this penalty specialist and you get a hand on it, that's got to be staying out. Like he just it was flat out 0 out of 10. Like I don't even want to talk about the field goal. Like it would have been it was a solid 3 points, but it didn't do us shit in the final.
Okay, then what about the Virgil stare? Because like what was Keppa thinking? Because like he said, like I'm gonna go all the way over here to the left,
Because that's where
and
Virgil is. He studied him, man. Like he's like, okay, cool. I at least will peg my defenders, my opposing defenders on their favorite sides.
mhm. And now it would be real petty. I think either way, Virgil van Dijk had the opportunity to be real petty because he could have obviously he still went left despite all that. But like, what if you say, I'm gonna just go ahead and shoot right, and you have no chance of getting it because you're all the way over here on the side. Like that would have been even funnier. But
No,
yeah,
what
that
was
that
petty was sticking his tongue out through his lip while he walked away and stared at him for 5 seconds, walking backwards.
oh man, like he was offended by that. Like, oh, like you like this what you doing? Like this is how we're doing it. Like,
Get this
oh,
chin, get this chin.
and because I don't think people realize like how close the spot is from the net. Like it's like not even 8 feet. Like it's like I think it's like maybe like 6 feet. Like you really like if you have a good enough shot behind a good enough foot behind your shot, like there's really the mathematics behind that do not serve in your favor to save that. And
Mhm.
and that's even with Keppa being over on that side, and Virgil van Dijk just knocked the absolute shit out of that and said, "I dare you to stop this." And yeah, that ain't happening.
Right. Now I will say, like, it's easy, of course, to pile on Keppa, but Mount missed a couple sitters, dog. Like Mount missed a
I'm,
couple chances that he normally makes.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to like watch a whole lot of it. I caught it. Like the second half primarily on Sirius on the way to the home team game on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, like all those goals that got called back, Lukaku, I think it was Mount, of course, on Liverpool got had a couple called back. Like yeah, like it's this could have easily been a barn burner, but because yeah, it's like offside, boop. He's interfering with the defender. This goal's not allowed. I'm like, that's the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that just drive you up the wall. But
Yeah.
you know, but yeah,
That seems to be a new rule or a new wrinkle, like the whole, player who's offside, who's impeding with the play.
mm,
Because I've seen that in a Chelsea game previously this season, but before the season I hadn't seen that. So that's, another one of those unintended knock-on effects of VAR, I guess.
yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah, don't like I said, you have literally the best keeper in the world.
Yeah.
Like can we just recognize that? Like if he's
Yeah.
there and he's cooking, let that man cook. But
Mhm.
yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up in a great amount of detail, just because you know it's not like Ukraine is necessarily for the culture, but
Right.
I think things have become so overwhelming and just the overall impact of the game that we really couldn't avoid it. Of
Mhm.
course, in over the past week, we've seen Russia uh, invade Ukraine for reasons I still don't understand. Like I know they plan like denazification of Ukraine and for obviously for national security and all that. But obviously, you're talking about a nation um, that has invaded another country without any bit of conflict, and the effects on the game have been. It took a couple of days, but it's definitely been swift and huge. You've seen um, uh, the Russian national teams are basically out of the World Cup playoffs. So I'm not sure like how that's going to affect the remaining teams and like who qualifies for Qatar. All of the remaining Russian clubs that are in European competitions, they're all out. Um, so basically, like if you're in Russian football, you're out. And yeah, we've also seen, numerous protests, tributes. Because obviously you have Ukrainian players that are scattered all over Europe, and you've seen coaches that have stepped down from their jobs in Russia out of protest to this. And then to kind of throw things into a really big loop, the owner of Chelsea FC, Roman Abramovich, a noted Putin confidant, supporter, homie, uh,
Mhm.
all that, has said, you know what, I'm going to step aside
Yeah.
and hand control of Chelsea over to Chelsea's charitable foundation. Um, what exactly does that mean?
Oh, you literally asking this? Because I have no idea.
I'm
He handed
It's
it over to the board of trustees. So
yeah.
the people is made up of Marina, Bruce Buck, the chairman,
Mhm,
and then the board of trustees, along with the charitable group. There's a couple other people that are on that board, including one of the more notable ones from the women's side, Emma Hayes, the
Right.
manager of that team,
mhm.
and then basically the trust fund for Chelsea. Um, so like it could be just basically you know everyone who's a part of that. So if you had the opportunity to do so, then apparently you could have a say, but they've refuted the they haven't agreed to take over. So it puts
Right.
basically the ownership into this very weird purgatory, I guess you could
Mhm,
say. So right now, it the issue is it's not even like you say, at least from everything that I've known from Abramovich. Yes, he does know Putin, but he's not like like rubbing shoulders with him and elbows all the time.
I don't know.
Um,
I've heard different. Like
of
he's
course,
in he's,
that's what.
he's in the circle. He's in the
Yeah,
circle. He's in the circle of trust.
yeah. They know each other. They both got rich off in the same era. The way
Hmm.
he got wealthy isn't a great story. If you want to like drag him through the mud, but the
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, like, I feel like he's become a better person, more in touch with his humanity, and the track record is there. If you
Hmm.
need or want to go look that up, I'm not going to sit here and like just defend somebody, but like go and do the research, go look and see what he's done and the person that he is, because
Hmm.
like even in America he's like hooked up with Robert Kraft for like to
Yeah.
donate to like
Yeah.
Jewish organizations and things
Yeah.
of
He's
that
had connections
nature.
here as well. Yeah. Definitely.
So I
Mhm.
think the global picture is bigger, and it's for him. He's looking at it from a business aspect. He's got like 1.5 billion dollars wrapped up in Chelsea in the
Hmm.
last like decade or so.
Hmm.
But even more so, the reports are that he actually was trying to broker a peace deal and use his position to do so. The fact that he's an
Yeah.
oligarch in the
I have
country
heard about
allows
that.
him to do so.
Yeah.
Now we don't know. We can sit here and speculate from 13 hours behind but we really don't know. Like those dudes got so much money, we're not going to be on that level.
Hmm.
It's like we're going to have to wait for the news to come. But I,
Hmm.
I don't know why he would need to sell the club. But to me, that there's got to be a derivative somewhere with that, and that's my take on it.
Uh, before I get into like, what are your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah. So, and so just going through it chronologically, right? Of course, they statement comes out from Chelsea, I guess via Roman, that there's going to be this like this I forget what the term it was used, but it was like basically trying to like sort of change the face of it, right? I think it was also a poor oversight to not actually mention specifically the civilians that were, at that point already fleeing and fearing for their lives. So I think that was a poor look for everyone involved. And then also it didn't really fly. You know what I mean? Like they tried to do the whole, yeah, like we'll just put it in the hands of the trustees. The trustees, as TK has alluded to, have actually pushed back on that and said, well, wait a minute, what does this actually entail? Right? Like, does this hold up legally? And so, yeah, it does seem like, at least from a leadership standpoint, Chelsea is in a tiny bit of flux. I actually have a tweet up from Miguel Delaney from about 2.5 hours ago,
Hmm.
or about 3.5 hours ago, for Swiss billionaire Hans Jörg Wyss. Meaning Abramovich, wants to get rid of Chelsea quickly. I and three other people received an offer on Tuesday to buy Chelsea from Abramovich. Now, of course, we don't, that's just that dude's word. He could be making that up. But he doesn't, I don't, doesn't seem like a whole lot of incentive to necessarily put that news out there, right? Especially if you're actually interested in doing that sort of transaction. Um, so I don't know. It does. What's interesting too, I think Roman has been, at least since he's owned Chelsea, sort of one of the more quiet owners, right? Like you don't
Hmm.
get much from him, even in terms of statements,
Right.
or really anything in the media. But he's probably one of the more visible, like Russian oligarch baron, super
Oh, for
rich guys.
sure.
You know
Oh,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like which and so like there those dudes are like there in Europe. Their money is wrapped up across Europe, right? Like that was one of the things I was kind of reading about is like how much like Russian money there is in London specifically. And
Hmm.
then you have the companies like Gazprom, I think it is, or whatever. And
Yeah.
so like Europe is like
Sponsor the
deep.
whole league.
Yeah, like I mean, sorry, Russia is deep in the weeds of Europe, and so it makes that's what it makes these geopolitical issues all the more interesting. So
Yeah.
um I think I can kind of see why I do wonder, like the thing I keep wondering in terms of specifically Chelsea is like what would Roman be willing to do like when push comes to shove? Like if he has to choose to like save the club or save himself, what would he prioritize? Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? So cuz I
That's a
think
good question. That's
cuz
a good question.
yeah, because like the club is like healthy right now, right? It's
Hmm.
solvent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like technically Roman has loaned about 1.5 billion over the years, right? That's the money he's helped pump into Chelsea to help them, with their transfer windows and so on. And so
Hmm.
um I think that so I can kind of understand why like a sale as soon as possible is the best thing for everyone involved, right? Because then like Chelsea, the club itself, doesn't really get touched too much, and
Hmm.
then Roman can probably just go his way and handle his stuff. So, but
Right.
that's how I see it.
I mean, I think that obviously with this conflict, we're going into the first week of things, so things are still very early as far as like how long this might last, and like how deep Russia might go as far as trying to ultimately try to take over Ukraine. And I, given the politics of Russia, like you haven't really seen too many Russians that are based outside of the country speak against Putin, speak against Russia, even though they might have their own personal feelings. Obviously they know the type of reach that Putin has and how it could possibly affect their family back home. So it's definitely a lot of complicated politics and personal feelings that goes on there because of course you have people here like especially like in the NHL you have a lot of Russian players that are um, that are caught up in this. So you those that might want to take a stand, they're like, hey, I gotta think twice because they know how Putin gets down. So it's like, okay, yeah, I might have to keep this hush. But yeah, like obviously there's been so many signs of protest. You mentioned a moment ago Gazprom, who's tied in with UEFA. They lost their sponsorship got dropped. Schalke in Germany, they've been longtime shirt sponsor with Schalke. They got dropped. Uh, you you've seen so many instances where it's like, yeah, anything tied to Russia is like, yeah, we ain't rolling too tough with that. Apple. Uh, I even got an email earlier from Printify who does our shirts, and I'm like, nah. They said, nah, anything Russia, we ain't doing it. We're pro Ukraine. You've seen the tributes during games, and even here with the home team before the game, they made note of their stance with everything that's going on. So obviously, there's a whole lot of reach to that. I'm not sure. I think the longer this goes, the more likely it happens that Abramovich has to sell the team because like his money's in Russia. So
You're
I,
right.
I,
I agree. It's gonna
I
be if we sanction the fuck out of that, or the UN sanctions the fuck out of Russia. I mean, this is a at the end of the day, it's bottom line. Like this is simple finances, I think. And I don't know why I didn't say this in my rant, but I guess what you said kind of enlightened me. So thank you, Greggo. But you're right. Most of his assets are in Russia. If they close off Russia, he can't make money. So you pull it from where you can. You go to your piggy bank. That happens to be Chelsea.
I mean the lucky thing for Chelsea is that from the point when he bought the team in 2003 to now, obviously the profile of Chelsea has skyrocketed. So
Yeah.
there'll definitely be demand out on the open market for Chelsea, in large part to him. But yeah, I just give it his place in Russia. I don't see him leaving that. And obviously, you're talking about somebody who's knee deep in the oil business in Russia. It's like, yeah, I'm sticking with my money. So like I understand that principle, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you gotta draw the line and decide where you want to stand. Like it was like I remember like watching the beginning of the Carabao Cup final and the stadium's making their announcement about Ukraine, and you're like the one of the teams is literally owned by a Russian. It's like that just like mad awkward. but um
Yeah.
but um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, our thoughts are with everyone in Ukraine and everyone that's dealing with invasion war everywhere because it's not just Ukraine. Like,
Mm.
please understand that, please, because
Yes,
it's
sir.
not just no matter what the media tries to tell you, it's not just Ukraine. There's plenty of countries in Africa. There's plenty of countries in Asia that are dealing with this same thing right now. You know, give your love to everybody because
Hmm.
yeah, it's not just one, and I like that.
Everton.
That's what's up.
Everton. No one's talking about them.
Yeah, yeah, and just it the way that this war has been covered just in 1 week, I'm like, it's definitely opened my eyes as far as like who the media decides to give their attention to and love
Yeah.
to and focus to, and I'm like, yeah, that's it's interesting, but we didn't want to be completely ignorant and act like we don't see what's going on, but yeah,
Right.
just know that yeah, there's more than just Ukraine going on. That definitely needs the positive thoughts, the 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 warm wishes, and just hopefully hopefully this all gets resolved as quickly as possible because and like you've seen like the people who are notable people in Ukraine have stepped up. I didn't realize Vitaly Klitschko was like the mayor of Kiev, and his
Mm.
brother Vladimir. Apparently, their president is a former comedian, which is just kind of just wild to me. But like he's stepping up. Yeah, UFC fighters that are stepping up. Like Ukraine's ready. They about that life clearly. So
Also, just real quick, I don't know how we forgot to mention. Oh no, we kind of mentioned it, but like how yeah, like Zelensky, the president, right, of
mm,
Ukraine, actually apparently requested Roman to be part of the negotiations, and so it's
mm,
just it's a lot of layers to it. Of course, like my main concern are civilians, like people who just trying to live their life, raise their kids and so on, and didn't ask for this conflict. Of course, nobody deserves this, but it's yeah, it's complicated for sure.
absolutely. So again, hopefully all this gets resolved sooner rather than later. Maybe this is something that Roman can help with and bring to a peaceful conclusion as sooner rather than later. But yeah, just hope the damage is as limited as possible um, out there. There's no real easy transition here. But yeah, just of course, with the MLS season starting up, new kits are out, which means new hotness with FTC UTD. .myshopify.com. Man, listen, I got some good shit cooking. Like we got the heat press going. It's burning hot, and yeah, like
Greggo, go turn off
um,
the heat press, man. Why'd you leave it on?
no,
Go turn off the heat. Go. We will cover you, bro. Go.
it's no, it's good for right now. But yeah, like we've been steady with orders and yeah, I'm over here cooking up new stuff for the culture. So yeah, make sure if you once you pick up your new jerseys, make sure you hit us up at ftcutd.myshopify.com. I might have to do a sale for this week, just to kind of in honor of our trip to Charlotte. Like let me steal one out. Like once I have it figured out, I'm gonna post this on the Instagram, on the Twitter. I might even post it on the TikTok. You never know, but
Ooh.
I know,
I think
right?
it's National Women's Month or something. I mean,
It
I
is.
I
It
don't
is.
want to, maybe we could
It
do
is.
something.
It is. It definitely is. So yeah,
NWM code or I don't know, Grego. Feed the
we
people.
will figure it out, and yeah, once we get that, we'll get it out to you. So yeah, make sure that you stick with us on the socials. And like I said, I'm the next couple of days. I'm getting this episode ready. I'm getting our stuff ready for Charlotte. So yeah, once I have that, I'll have it for you guys. You'll probably get that before you even see this, before you even hear this episode. So uh, yeah, we'll make sure to get it out to you. Of course, you can still make sure to get your shirts, make sure to get your hats, make sure you get this Culture Club mug because yeah, this
Oh.
the good stuff is in here, and uh, well, maybe I think I have one for you, Mark. I think that wasn't you TK that suggested we get a mug
We
for Mark last
finally
year.
coughed up the funds, but I'll tell you the real story. So, Mark, we're not lying to you. I
Okay.
bought a hat on the website. Took my real money, but we're just gonna just cover that mug with that money. That was just for you. Merry
but
holiday Hanukkah.
It's appreciated.
but yeah, again, make sure you get the shirts laced up. Matter of fact, one of our guests for next week, Justin Lee, we call him Pancake here in the Portal Circles. He'll be on next week. Matter of fact, we got a name set coming his way that I actually will be bringing to him for this weekend's game. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. We post that on the socials. But yeah, again, just make sure, like I said, the heat is real this year. Like matter of fact, I'm already working on next year's heat. So
Mm.
it's that hot right now. But let's hop up here and these two up and two down, and yeah, we'll go ahead and start with Mark, like right there. Boom.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So I'll do two up and one down, I think. So
Okay.
in terms of the up, I think just hanging out with Charlotte fans, that new team energy, that real organic energy. It was just good to be around it, and I love new fan bases, new communities coming into the league. I'm super excited about Charlotte. I think they're doing a lot of things right. I'm excited to be there this weekend. Really see a full stadium, reportedly 75K.
Hello.
That would have break the record, and so I always brag that like the top 10 attendance record of MLS is all Atlanta United. Now there's gonna be one team spoiling it. Whatever, that's fine. But and to add to that, and kind of my second up, so of course, I was in DC. I saw, I was hanging out with DC and Charlotte fans afterwards, and one Charlotte fan in particular was kind of talking about how nice it was to be welcomed by DC fans, and how there is that camaraderie, even though with they're rivals. And then
Hmm.
for the cup final, I was at Fido's Buckhead, who, of course, is the meeting place for the Atlanta Blues and Liverpool's local supporter club as well. And so
Hmm.
for that final, both sets of fans were in there. Of course, they're separated, but it was a live atmosphere and it was cool. It was no problems whatsoever. It was just a really fun atmosphere. And again, talking to a guy afterwards who was familiar with England, kind of talking about how couldn't pull that off in England. Like it would be literal fights, right? Like you can't even wear your colors on certain days and that sort of thing. It's like, and so I think that's something that I think that as soccer in America continues to grow, we have to establish our own culture, right? Like make it unique. And that's one thing that I do love about American soccer culture that I think is unique is the ability to look past like not just be not as tribal, right? Like look past the fact that you root for a different team, because at the end of the day, we all love the sport, like, and we should be able to come together in that, because truthfully there were more important conversations to be had beyond the sport itself, so
Hmm.
um I just thought it was really cool to see like two different examples of that. um and then my one down, of course, we talked a bit about the conflict, um, just the reports that Black people in Ukraine have to wait, or have or sent back, or basically still being treated like second class citizens, and it just blows my
Hmm.
mind that like you can be on the run, right, fearing for your life in the middle of a war, and still like you still have time to like uh hold up the hierarchy. It's just
Hmm.
it's so heartbreaking.
I
uh
mean, it's interesting there because like you have a lot of black immigrants, black expats, athletes that are based in Ukraine, and they're trying to get out. And you have some countries that are like, we'll take, the the refugees that look like us, and but then
mm.
they will be like, you know what, you black, I don't know about that. Like we gotta uh,
It's like, are you
hold tight on
really
that.
Ukrainian, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
and like that's the unfortunate part. But again, that's kind of par for the course for a lot of places in Europe. But yeah, continue.
No, yeah, and like that's part for the course, I think, for the global Black experience, unfortunately, right? It's
There you go. There you go.
yeah, so it's just yeah, I just wanted to, make sure like because like you were saying, the media picks and chooses, or some topics just don't get as much attention as others. And so like again, want to stress that like the civilians of Ukraine, like my support is fully with them, but all of the civilians of Ukraine, right? Like not just the one to quote unquote look Ukrainian.
Absolutely. Yeah, that like I said, the coverage has just been very telling, and obviously we deal with people coming in from other countries all the time, and you know it's it's just interesting, like when you have a certain shades that get accepted more freely than those that look like us, and yes, I wish I could say it's a surprise, but unfortunately it's not. But but yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, Mark, TK, what you got, man?
Mm. Guess we'll follow suit with two ups and one down. Um,
Hmm.
so this past week has been a little bit of a roller coaster for me. Um, Found out, I think, last Thursday that I was, not I personally, but um, my family, me and my significant other, Katie, will be welcoming another child. We are
Pew pew pew.
pregnant.
Woo!
Baby number
Dual
two
Thundercats.
is on the way. I
Oh,
repeat, baby number two is on the way. Give me all the
Pew
positive
pew pew
vibes and
pew pew
energy.
pew pew pew
Appreciate it.
pew.
Soaked it up. So, and then the second up is going to be following Thursday after finding out that I was pregnant, or we are pregnant. I found out that I would be potentially in line for um, a promotion. So
Chew, get
I
that bag,
know
baby. Get that
okay.
bag.
the timing is ridiculous, but divinity, as they say. Um, so yeah, that was kind of cool. So we'll see how I can craft things and improve my family and do all the things. So it'd be nice to see how 2022 turns out. October birthday for the due date, late October is what we're looking at.
Oh yeah,
Um,
the October Scorpios, baby.
it could be a I thought it was a Libra, right?
Libra is the first half of September. Scorpio is back, and
Mm,
that's me. That's
okay,
my zone.
okay. And then my down is I lost my mentor on the Tuesday in between those the Thursday this past Thursday and the previous Thursday. That Tuesday was also my father's birthday, so
Mm.
um, it was pretty intense to kind of try to actually like digest and process um, because the mentor that passed away is like a father to me, like second father to me. Is my high school band director. His name is Charles E. Todd II, and I just want to honor his memory to the best of my ability. He was a brilliant man. He was a really brilliant man. So that's just something I'm grieving continuously at the moment, and yeah, that's my down for the week. Um,
Yeah.
am I handing it
Rest
off?
assured,
Okay.
him and his family. I can only imagine. Mentors are hard to come by sometimes. So when you have that one person that makes a type of impact on your life, that gotta make sure you pay tribute to those guys. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I might have a few extras here because I did want to kind of catch up on some things that happened last week, and just to kind of recap on a couple things. First up is shout out to One Knoxville, uh, myself as well as L from 2 Cents. We were up in Knoxville this past week for a roundtable with leaders of the Knoxville soccer community, and you probably saw that on the 2 Cents social media, and as well as the One Knox social media. I had a chance to chop it up with them, talk about just the buzz growing with One Knoxville as they start up their first season, which started in May, and had a really dope conversation with players. One of the youth players in the community, he plays for Austin East, who won the state championship last year. We had some local youth coaches. We had Coach John Netherland, who was on the show back in October, and so shout out to him. Shout out to Sam Weisbrod with One Knox for inviting us to come up. I'm glad that they thought of us as far as being part of this conversation. Hopefully, we're able to give some nuggets to help them as they start off their first year. And just it sounds like the buzz has been really positive going into this first season. So hopefully, things go up with them. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you follow them at I think it's One Knox FC, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I'll correct it on the socials. But yeah, shout out to them for that. Um, so catching up from the past few weeks, U.S. Women's National Team equal pay is happening. Finally, they finally came to a settlement last week, and pending the agreement of the CBA, yeah, we'll finally have equal pay on both the men's and women's side. This is something that's been cooking for over 2 decades now, basically. So, shout out to the women who were part of this lawsuit here, and shout out to women like Kim Pratt, women like Stacey Wilson, women like uh, Brianna Scurry, people who have paved the way to lead us to where we are now. And like, this is a long time coming, and of course, given the success of the women's national team, this is beyond undeserved. There's even I would even argue that they really should be paid more than men. But yeah, but at least we're at a point where the pay is equal on both sides. So yeah, definitely congratulations to all all current women's national team players, past women's national team players, and future. And of course, if y'all paying attention to the She Believes Cup, that's winning that, and the players that are coming up, it's going to be real lucrative pretty soon. So shout out to the women for that. Um, and also on that note, they actually just announced today, U.S. Soccer has announced a new TV deal with Turner Media, which includes TNT, TBS, HBO Max. Um, Kind of surprised that they did this, that they went with Turner. I'm like, especially given how Turner kind of fell flat with the UEFA Champions League deal and Europa League deal a couple of years ago. Um, I'm kind of surprised that U.S. Soccer went this route, but you know, so obviously with them splitting off from MLS as far as media rights, they decided to go in their own direction. So this is going for the next 8 years. So we're going to have to get used to this for a good little while. Um, uh, Aside from that, and also bless up to Weston McKinney because he broke his foot last week during Champions League action, so he'll be out for the qualifications, the final round of qualifications at the end of this month. And obviously, a he's a core member of what we've been rocking with for a while now. So replacing him won't be easy, but I do think that we have the depth to where we can we should still be able to lock up qualification, but obviously not having them there only makes it that much harder. So we got to make sure we come correct at the end of the month. And then last but not least, shout out to the homie Bim Joyner, who one of the co-founders of Atlanta Influences Everything. He had he was honored at the recent Atlanta Hawks for HBCU night. Um, just wanted to give a shout out to him and the fam at AIE. And he's been he rocks for Atlanta so hard. And I think that you know if if you haven't already like caught up with that brand, just beyond just the clothing. Of course, I'm wearing the Jovita Moore tribute hoodie. um yeah, like that's like he's doing good things, and like hopefully you started to get involved on the soccer tip as well, so a lot of big things are cooking with him. um and so as we go forward into the next few years, especially leading up to the next World Cup, that's a name I think here that you're going to be hearing a lot more of. So a shout out to them for that. But and of course, once again, just loving thoughts to the people in Ukraine, and also everyone else that's affected by war right now. Because, yeah, war is stupid. It's fought by people who aren't making the decisions. So, just everyone who's on the ground. Hopefully, you get home safe to your family, and you're able to just hug your loved ones. So, yeah, that's that's really all I got here. Thank you guys for checking out another episode. We will be back next week with more hot fire, with more sauce. As always, we'll be active on the socials. You can find us on social. The FTC.
UTD.
UTD.
Not bad, not bad, not bad. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, FTC UTD Pod on TikTok. Of course, you can follow the Cultureverse. You can find Shea Butter FC at SBFC_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. 2 Cents FC on Twitter and Instagram. Can I Kick It on Facebook and Instagram? Are we missing anything else? Shout out to Riot, who just had a new blog that came out today. Shout out to News Change. If you haven't done so already, check out the Short Corners series from 2 Cents. L and Amobi have been, they got some sharp takes. Remember, they got one on Jorginho that I think y'all might find very interesting. So yeah, make sure that y'all check that out. But yeah, again, next week, we're in week 2 of MLS. Do we have are there any other Champions League games that come up before the international break?
That's a good question. I think the next set of Champions League games are in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay. So yeah, we'll definitely have plenty to talk about. But yeah, until that time, for Greggo, for Marc, for TK, for Coach, for Mayor, for Ty, for Sky, for Sills, for L, for Moby, for the whole team. Coach is real. Coach is everywhere. Be careful with taking off these masks. Be careful with that, because the Omarion ain't dead just yet. Delta ain't dead just yet. Just be easy, protect yourself. Y'all be cool out there. We see y'all soon, and we out.
FTC UTD.